Why were you trying to contact me?
You oppose the heretics, those that took the old machines as gods.
All kinds of organics fought Sovereign and his Geth allies. Why am I so interesting?
You were the most successful. You killed their god. You succeeded where others did not. Your code is superior.
Welcome to Superior Code. I want to talk about everything I loved about Starfield in this part 1, and then in a part 2, I'll talk about everything I hated about it. But I want to be clear up front that I recommend going to buy this game and playing it. Like, overall, it's a fun game. But I just really want to get everything, all of my thoughts out of my head and talk about it, because I really was expecting a 10 out of 10, but I got a 7 out of 10 instead. So that's why I just really want to talk about all the stuff I hated about it, and it's really long, just like everything I loved about it is really long. So, full spoiler warning right now. I'm glad, it lets you change your look anytime, even your name, your sex, your gender. I love that, because I don't think any other games have ever done that, and you would think they would allow you to in, a futuristic game like the Mass Effect series, but they don't. So I really like and enjoy that. And I do get why, because if not every character that you romance is gonna be bi or pan, so changing your sex and gender could be tricky when you're in the middle of romancing them. So there could be something to where the game can warn you about changing your sex, that the game tells you your relationship might end in a breakup. But I could see that being fun and immersive, because that happens in real life. That's a conversation to have when you want to change your sex, Some people will be fine with it and some won't. So I think that would be pretty fun to do, to have companions talk to you about stuff like that. I'm really hoping for something like that in Mass Effect 5, because it's a futuristic game, and if Starfield can do it, other games can. Starfield is the first AAA game that has made it feel like there's no sexism in its world, no sexist writing or characters that I've come across. It's so refreshing. I do like it though when games point out that I'm playing as a woman, in a positive way, and this game rarely points that out. But I think it's fine, because there's no sexist bullshit at least, and like I said, it's refreshing that there's not even a sexist comment, so I think it gets a pass for just treating me like I'm gender neutral. So yeah, I really like that. But I do think it's possible for future games to not have sexist insults that so many of us are just sick of hearing. But they can not have the insults, but still acknowledge us as women. And I think the Dragon Age series comes really close, especially in Dragon Age Origins, where it doesn't really treat women that different from men, but there's still some sexist comments, but it's not, that world does a really good job at being close to treating men and women as equals in any field. And I think Mass Effect Andromeda comes really close to that as well. So I feel like it can happen. Starfield, combine Starfield with Mass Effect Andromeda and Dragon Age, and it could be exactly what I want. The ships were so fun to buy. I loved how every ship was different and layout different and styled differently. And I loved exploring around on a new ship that I got. It was like buying a new home every time, or a new little apartment. It wasn't until New Game Plus where I even cared about buying a home or an apartment and styling it, because I just didn't need it. I had the ships that were fully furnished and everything. It really made each ship feel like a home. And it was never annoying if a ship was really huge and you had to walk all the way outside to all the way to your pilot seat, because you could just fast travel yourself right into the seat or fast travel right outside of the ship. So it's like they knew what they were doing. It was user friendly. Like there was no benefit to having a small ship other than you just wanted that because it was different. So it was really cool, especially if you just play on the easiest level and you don't have to care about how strong it is. You could totally just pick a ship based on your mood. I would love to see Mass Effect 5 and like Outer Worlds 2 be able to do that, like to be able to have different ships and add on to them and stuff. And I love exploring space in this game, like meeting other pilots and the risk of them being violent or wholesome, like this clip.
I miss my dear darling in New Atlantis, as I wander the blackness of the deep abyss. My ship is in tatters, all dented and worn, but I trust my old engine to get back by morn. Way out in the blackness, way out in the void. Way give me back to my true love, as quick as an old asteroid. Always happy to meet a stranger. Hope my singing was to your liking. It is, at that. If you believe the family tales, we've been merchantmen and freighter captains since the days of the East India Company. If you like my singing, you should have heard my pops. Now he had a voice. Oh, and now you've made mine. Afraid my ship's got the next jump plotted in, so I'm away. Fair travels.
I'm not saying that I want the next Mass Effect game to be open world. Like, I actually would rather it wasn't. But I like how the second and third game is, instead of like the first and Andromeda is with open world. I think if it's more focused on story and character dialogue, that's where I got my enjoyment out more with Mass Effect. But it would be really fun if you can explore space and it'd be like a little sandbox type area when you're like in your ship in space. That would be really fun and different for the game. Plus, like, imagine a Mass Effect game that wasn't about war. Like, for once. It could be like Starfield or Cyberpunk 2077, where the main character is a part of a small group that just stumbles onto something huge. But it's not about war. So it would be really fun for the new Mass Effect game to do something like that, where you can meet a lot more wholesome moments and not have to be rushing to get allies ready for a war or whatever. Back to Starfield. So, like, once you get the Star Guardian ship in New Game Plus, there's, like, no going back to the other ships. That ship is so fast. Like, I love it. Like, you can quickly dodge out of the way when someone's shooting at you or sending missiles at you. It's really good for combat. And I just love how it looks. Like, that's exactly how I picture the final step to advanced technology. Like, that's exactly what I think it would look like. Some type of cool transformer ship or something. I really, really love that ship. I love how user-friendly it is in Starfield, with how it lets you know the skills of each character that can tag along with you. It's a big step up from Fallout 3 and 4. It's because you'll find out very quickly that there are some companions that suck in combat and some that don't. So it really helps with, like, you can see what their skills are by talking to them and by going into, like, the ship crew menu. It will show what their skills are. I really love that the pictures you take in photo mode become loading screens. Like, there are mods for that, for changing, like, loading screen art, like, for other games, because that's what people want. So it's really, really cool to see that Starfield did it itself to where we don't have to have a mod to do that. It was really cool because you get sick and tired of seeing the same loading screens, and if you play the game long enough, you're gonna see every single loading screen. So it was, when I got Fallout New Vegas for the PC, one of the first mods I really wanted to get was the loading screen art, because it just made the game feel like a new game for a little bit. And it sounds like it's something that's so small, but I'm telling you, if you are a completionist, it's something you will notice and get sick of really quickly. So it really does change the game to make it feel like there's more content and make it feel new. Plus, it motivated me to like use photo mode, because I usually just use it once in every game to try it out, then I'll never touch it again. But this game really made me want to take lots of screenshots and see my screenshots as I played. I know this is gonna be weird, but I really love that Sam dies, because I didn't expect to lose anyone. The game made them feel safe. Like, it did a really good job at fooling me into thinking, oh, my companions are gonna live, you know? Like in every other game. Like, they just feel safe. So it was a really great feeling to have of being shocked. The game actually shocked me. And it was so good. It was really, really... I hope other games do that, where a companion just feels safe and they take it away from you. I will get into this later, but the only thing that sucks is I wasn't that interested in Sam anyways, because in my first playthrough, I didn't really talk to him or some other companions that much, because they weren't that interesting to me, and I was more interested in other stuff in the game. But just imagine players who really did love Sam and completed his personal quest and his loyalty mission or whatever. Oh, that would have been such a good feeling if I had done his loyalty mission the first playthrough. But I did get to it later, but yeah, that would have just been perfect. But I really, really love that he dies. I really loved the Ryujin questline. The Ryujin Industries, it was my absolute favorite, because it reminded me of Arasaka from Cyberpunk. It had that same feel, and you even get like mind control tech, so it's really good. The mind control tech, I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but it really helped me like the speech checks, because I don't like speech checks in games because it feels like a cheat code. But with the mind control tech, it really helps make the speech checks in games make sense, and how they work and everything. So this quest fits perfectly with my character's background that I picked for them. I picked the Cyber Runner, so they're basically like a corpo two-faced spy. And it was so fun role-playing this character during this quest. And helping Yularu become CEO was so evil, it felt so satisfying and fun. Like, being Corpo is all about having powerful allies and taking out the weak links to get to the top and keeping your enemies closer. Because with my character and Yularu, we know what we're both capable of, therefore we know better than to betray each other. So it's like a toxic friendship that's really, really fun in the game. And it's a stretch, it's not really a friendship, but if I'm role-playing, it really felt like a partnership. And in New Game Plus, it wasn't as satisfying exposing her to the company, because when you talk to her after she's exposed, she has better comebacks and insults and has sassier lines than you, and she gets the last word in. But the other boss lady, when I framed, the boss lady in the first playthrough, she doesn't have the last word in. Like, it's not as frustrating talking to her. You really do feel smug talking to her, like you've won. But with Yularu, you don't feel like you've won, because she just seems like she's gonna be fine, even if she's being in denial. Just the fact that she's in denial is so annoying. So it felt fun getting away with the scheme than it was doing the right thing and exposing Yularu. So, and it also, like I said, it felt like an evil bond with her that made the choice fun for me. And like I said, getting that mind control tool makes me like the speech skill as a cheat code for like getting characters to agree with you. Like, it helps me roleplay why everyone is easily convinced towards my speech checks. Because I've never been a fan of them in other games. I try my best to not use them, but there's always that quest where it's like, would you rather pay so much money or use the speech check? And this is one of those games where it happens so often, where it's like the only way to get someone to help you make this quest easier, you have to pay them, or you have to get them do it for free with the speech check. So at least once I played this quest, I wasn't as frustrated with the speech skill. So that really helped me roleplay the game better. And if you're already thinking, if you don't like the speech checks, then just don't use them. Like I said, I do my best not to, but sometimes you have to if you don't have the money to pay, or it's like, I want to save my money so I can buy more ships because they cost a lot. I feel like the speech skill should only be used as how good of a liar you are and how good is your poker face, instead of just like you having a silver tongue all around. And I think the Outer Worlds does that the best, where the speech skill is linked to you being able to lie your way out of stuff. Running from the hunter through the city and seeing it under attack, and then seeing it all damaged when you go back later, was really cool. Like, I really love that. And seeing it attacked again with the terramorphs, and hearing the voices from the fog that the terramorphs were creating was so fun. Like, I loved that so much. And with that quest of the terramorphs, I loved the reveal, because I did think it was so convenient when the terramorphs showed up. So I'm so happy the story explained itself, that it was all planned. So that was really, really good writing that went into that quest. And as I said before, that my character is like this selfish spy that likes having friends in high places. She thinks about the reward when choosing who to side with and the risks of that. So I had my character side with the war criminal, and no one knows, not even my companions, no one. It's so exciting. I love that. Like, this is in the Terramorph quest line where you join when you join the Vanguard. Like, I didn't even have my character tell the woman who helped me on that quest that her father is alive, and she becomes a companion. It totally makes that friendship twisted, and I love it. When I first found out that her father was behind the attack, I was ready to expose him. But when he mentioned benefits of going along with him, my anger towards him instantly evaporated. Like, I was like, tell me more about these benefits, please. Oh, I get no benefits if I expose you? Well, that makes the choice a simple one then. So, in my character's twisted head, like, her new friend benefits with me. So she should be grateful if she ever found out the truth. Like, this shit is so fun. Like, I love role-playing this, and I wish other games let us side with the bad guys more often. And during the quest where you have to find the ship full of money for the pirates, like this legend they were looking for or whatever, I loved reading what happened to the crew that got stuck on that ship and that they slowly starved to death. It was very sad and dark. I was invested in finding all of the audio logs to hear what happened in detail and how it was very bittersweet. Like, sweet as in they all started to accept it and just kind of die with their loved ones and like accept and just play a game of cards as they slowly fade away. But yeah, I loved how it made me feel, because I just didn't expect to find a side story of audio logs that I would be interested in that much. I liked the quest about the crazy mom contacting her son Leon, and he doesn't know just how crazy she is. He never met her, so he just doesn't know what to expect, and he ends up dying by one of her traps that she sets up to test him. But he's not like a skilled fighter like her or anything. So like when my character makes it through like her whole test and a message from his mom activates saying how she's so proud of him and knew he could do it because he's her son, so of course he can. It was so funny and so sad. Like, that was so good. I really, really enjoyed that. The quest of the Earth colony ship Constant was really, really good. Like, it reminded me of the Quarians. It's the quest where it's a ship that left Earth before anyone else did and had their course set on a planet. They thought the rest of humanity was dead, so their ship is so outdated that they couldn't communicate when you tried to. It was like a bunch of weird noise and static. And they don't have the grav jump technology, so it took them almost 200 years to finally make it to the planet they planned on living on. But as it turns out, there's already a company on that planet, and it's like a vacation spot, so you have to help them deal with that. So it was really interesting seeing how they thought that they were aliens on the planet, or that we were aliens boarding their ship. Well, I thought they were aliens because of the weird noises coming through the communications, and just to see them shocked that I'm human. So it was really, really fun. But the reason this quest reminded me of the Quarians was because the Earth colony ship, they have a population control and of who can have kids, and some people give up their right to have a kid so someone else can have more than one kid. And it's really interesting, their culture and how they live on their ship, and how old people will volunteer to die sooner if supplies are running low and stuff like that, and how they make plant-based food because it's the most simple to make aboard a ship. It's the same with the Quarians. And how they share and trade with each other with items instead of money, which makes sense because money is pointless on a ship where no one can ever leave. And it makes me happy to see them trading and getting new food and other stuff once you help them out. Like, I got excited and worried for them to learn about how humanity has progressed. So like how they trade and share with each other on the ship before my help, it made me think of the novel Mass Effect Ascension, where it shows how the Quarians will leave stuff in a section when they are not using it, so that other Quarians will dig around in that section for items they need, and they don't keep everything forever because they live in small spaces on the ship and items take too much room. So, and the ship captain in Starfield, in the Earth colony ship, their captain reminded me of Telly, because obviously she's female and she's like the youngest captain they ever had, just like how Telly is like the youngest leading person on there. Like, she's not the captain in Mass Effect or anything, but her being one of the important leaders to make decisions and being that age is like the first time it's happened for her people. And she's like very polite, but not a pushover that's so like Telly, and she wears purple. And I loved seeing NPCs in the ship use old looking technology and computers and old weapons. It was nice seeing so much green and plants on the ship, and seeing that they have a little classroom as well. And the location, New Homestead, that place also reminded me of the Quarians, but the people in New Homestead are a little bit more stubborn. Well, they're a lot more stubborn than the people in the colony ship, because the colony ship, they had to adapt. They had to. People in New Homestead don't have to. They can choose to use better technology to better their lives, but they don't want to. So, because they don't like the rest of the galaxy using technology, but they still use it too, like they use some tech, so they're kind of hypocrites. And a little girl even questions this to her dad and says why they have to stick to old tech for tradition if in the olden days they didn't have the tech, plus they had land to use, so it's not really tradition. They're creating a new tradition, mimicking the old ways. Like they're just stuck inside this dome and they can't use the rest of the land, but they could just leave, you know? And her dad just says, that's just how it is, and he walks off because he doesn't know how to answer that. So the game is showing us that they are hypocrites. This is just their stubborn culture. But the things about, like, in New Homestead that reminded me of the Quarians is how they use their city names from Earth as their last names, wherever their ancestors came from. And that's just like how the Quarians use ships, the ship names that they're living on as their last names. And they don't have private homes to themselves, just a box room, unless they're upper class. So like the common people and the poor people live like how the Quarians do on their ships. And they have the thing called a learning vacation, where they go visit other places and then come back, just like how the Quarians have their pilgrimage. Then there's the Crucible quest. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a place called the Crucible, and it felt like a big Mass Effect 3 nod. It could be a stretch, but I have fun finding anything that makes me think of Mass Effect. This quest uses words like Crucible and Cycle a lot, and it has big robots killing people over and over again. It's only if they leave the area, but still, it feels like they're trapped, you know? And the word indoctrination and catalyst is used, and there's 3 groups to choose from for the ending to the quest. And the famous people that are turned into clones in this quest was an interesting discussion, and it really reminded me of the heads of famous people in Futurama. I really, really, really loved that the main quest turned out to reveal multiple universes. I'm so glad it didn't turn out to be about aliens, because it's so been there, done that with other sci-fi series. I just didn't see this one coming. Like, I know it's not unique, but I just didn't see it coming. I was hoping for it to be about meeting God, or if it had to be about aliens, if they turned out to be our creators, that would also work, because I've never played a game that has done that, where we meet God. Like in the 4th Mass Effect game, it got close. So, a slight spoiler for Mass Effect Andromeda. In Andromeda, you find out that a race called the Jordan created organic civilized life, and someone on your crew starts to question if that's what God is to humans. Like, if they were questioning their faith, and if God just turned out to be a bunch of scientists, and it was very, very interesting. But I am happy with what Starfield turned out to be, and that it's about the multiverse. So obviously that also means I really loved the Glitch in the Matrix type quest. I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's the one where you get a distress call, and when you go there they say they didn't send any distress calls, and it turns out someone did in that same location but in a different universe. Like in the one where they didn't send a call, they lost a man. But in the universe where you do get a call, that man is there. Like, he's the only one that lived and needs help because he's alone and trapped in the building. And your character keeps teleporting back and forth, and it reminded me of Titanfall 2. Like, you freak out NPCs when you show up out of nowhere in both games. It's so fun to freak people out like that. Like, I love their reaction to you popping in and out of existence. And in both games, you have to teleport back and forth to get around blocked paths. So, like, in one universe, there's a wall in the way, but in the other universe, that wall is destroyed and you can go through. I can see why people would hate on Starfield for going the multiverse route with its story, but I really love it. Like, I feel like the game was made for me. I liked the movie Cloverfield Paradox, so that should just say it all, because that movie was hated on. But you could just ignore the main quest and this little side one and just explore this game without even thinking about multiverses for a very long time. So I don't feel that sorry for people who have a hard time thinking about multiverses. It's a long game. They'll be okay. There's like so many stories to do in the game that you don't even have to touch the main quest and worry about finishing the game for a very long time anyways. So I still recommend this game if like you have a hard time thinking about multiverse, and there are options in the game for you to be that type of character, to be like, this is hurting my head too much, I don't like thinking about this. Like, you can have those options to choose, and that could help you a little bit more with role playing if you are disappointed by the main story. How Starfield does its New Game Plus is the best I've ever seen. Like, if you know any other games that remember your first playthrough, please let me know. Like, I want to play them. I want to check them out. The only one I can compare it to is Oxenfree, but Starfield lets your character keep their memories and lets you do everything out of order from how you did them the last time. It's very exciting. Seeing the new ship and spacesuit also got me pumped to keep playing. It's really cool how, like, new gameplay equals new universe. It's such a smart way to do New Game Plus. It kind of makes it feel meta in a way, because we can think like that for every other game out there. That every time we replay a game, we are creating a different digital universe. Like, even more so with games with more than one ending. Like, Starfield makes it exciting because our character's in on it this time with us. Also, like, just a side note, like, how did we get the new ship and new suit? Like, where did that come from? Is that proof of a god, maybe, that gifted us a reward or something? Or it could have just been the game devs, like, here, a reward for beating the game. But anyways, I liked being able to speed through the main story. You can, like, quickly tell your team in the new universe where all the artifacts are and tell them how to avoid any problems. It's really, really cool. Like, because you also have the option to not tell them and just kind of play along, but I didn't do that yet. So that's gonna be my third playthrough. Just haven't gotten around to that. But it's really cool. So I'm wondering, like, if you go along with it and you could kind of, like, already have the options to give clues that you already know what's about to happen. So I wonder if, like, you could still affect the story faster, even though you don't tell them as soon as you go inside the building and tell them everything what's up and tell them you're Starborn. I wonder if you can still kind of speed through it a little bit. In my first universe, I teamed up with the Hunter. So in this next universe, I was able to use my mind control tool to talk the Hunter down and manipulated him to leave. Like, all of my items are gone when I left my universe, like my clothes and everything. but my mind control tool stayed with me, and that makes me feel like my character is very powerful, like more powerful than the other Starborn. Like, I know that's kind of ignorant to think, because most likely they also, some of them have the mind control tool as well, but just having not come across them to be able to control me, it's like if they choose to talk to my character, they just don't stand a chance, and I love feeling that powerful. Romancing Sam in New Game Plus after seeing him get murdered in my universe by the hunter that I teamed up with is so twisted. It's great, I love it. I want to see this anime. Like, I even had her say at the wake that Sam was murdered and she would miss him and get revenge or whatever, but I was role-playing that she was lying because she didn't feel anything for him at all. I wanted to connect with my character because I also didn't feel anything for Sam because I never got to know him before he ends up dying. I thought there would be more time before in the main quest to get to his loyalty mission, and I did think about reloading, but I decided not to, and I'll just keep at it. Like, I don't like always reloading just because it feels like I made a mistake, so I just kept with it, and I'm glad I did. It feels really cool to kind of get to know Sam better now that he's alive, and I know he could die, and I'm gonna romance him because I didn't last time. And I think it fits with my character so well that she's attracted to strong characters because she's seen that he can also become Starborn. So he has the potential, and that makes him attractive to her. And it's so twisted, and I love it. I love role-playing as a greedy character. I'll get into this more in part 2, but I didn't romance any of the characters my first playthrough. But I want to check out the romances in the game, so in my second playthrough, the second universe, I picked Sam because it was the most twisted. And I want more twisted love stories. But I can totally see this relationship being romantic if I never teamed up with the hunter. You know, like, I could see that happening. And I love that Sam says that it feels like destiny that they met each other and fell in love, because it kinda is in this game. In this game where multiverse is a thing, it can feel very romantic that in another universe I died and he lived. But in my universe, he died and I lived. And in this universe, we both lived and can be together. Like, I love that. It can be a romantic story. That, like, I fought his killer to avenge Sam and can be with Sam now. I can see people writing beautiful fan fiction and fan art about this. But I love the unhealthy love in my character story, which is I teamed up with Sam's killer to date Sam now. Like, I really, really want that Yandere anime so badly. And as I was playing New Game Plus, I started to feel bad for the companions that went with me in my first universe as Starborn, and how they all must be feeling alone since they really did split up. Like, we weren't sure if we were going to be together or not. And because they for sure got to meet themselves. Like, I had an easier time because I didn't meet myself. Like, I showed up at Constellation and myself isn't there. Like, I was there to quickly have them go help Bennett, and the hunter in my universe, my first one, said that every universe is different. Like, something happens that's different in each one. And I also seen online that some people got to meet themselves at Constellation. So I don't know if your second playthrough, you never get to meet yourself the second time, just to make it a bit easier for players to go and meet everyone. Or I wonder if there's someone, like, on their second playthrough, they go into Constellation and there their character is. That would be really cool. But yeah, it just made me think about that. I felt sorry for some companions, because when you're saying your goodbyes, that's one of the things they're thinking about is, what if we split up? Like, if I see you, it won't actually be the you that I've made a friendship with. So it had me thinking about that. I like when a game makes me feel like bittersweet. So it's like, I know they're gonna be okay, but I still feel sorry for them for being alone. Which is like, it's also easier for my character because I have no family ties, you know? Oh, there is a perk at the beginning of the game where you can choose to have parents, but for the most part, you are alone. Like, it doesn't really, you don't really have a past, a strong past of people in it and everything, like the other characters do. So, it just got me thinking about that. I really liked the hunter. He was so interesting and matched my character's personality. And like when you first meet him, throughout the game, I think you only meet him twice. You can have a conversation with him, and he's this mysterious guy, and I kind of thought he was gonna be a companion. So anytime I landed someplace new, I would look at the bar area just to see if he was there. But yeah, I really liked what he turned out to be very important. I matched his opinions more than I did the other guy who turned out to be another Sam. But yeah, I really want him to be a companion that, like, when he says he's gonna hang out on your ship until you, just waiting for you to use the artifacts. I just, before that final moment, I want to see what else I can do before beating the game. And just seeing him kind of like hang around the ship, holding a clipboard, sitting at a desk and all that. And it was really funny. It was very funny seeing him like that. Just casually, just this random badass killer is just gonna look at the stats on this clipboard. This is where I think it's worth the game devs investing in each character having their own little move sets, to where it's like they don't all just do the same thing casually. It was very weird but very funny seeing him do these mundane things around the ship. Also, I think it's really cool that your character can meet themselves and hear their own voice. Like, I haven't met myself, like, on a planet or anything like that yet, because I know that's random from what other players have said. I just met myself at the end of the game, and I think in another instance where I'm traveling through space in my ship, and another ship contacts me, and they're called the Mysterious Captain, but they are female, and they're very vague with their answers, and they won't answer any of my questions. They keep saying I can't answer that, but good luck, and I hope you stay safe, and I hope we get to meet someday again. And then they zoom away after they finish the conversation, so you can't really chase them. But yeah, I think that was me, and it being cheeky because that was in my first playthrough. But I can't wait to play more and come across myself. But when I get to meet myself at the end of the game, I really liked their voice, and I can totally see how other people would not, especially if you have an accent or a way of talking that the game does not match your voice, or like if you're not playing as yourself but playing as this created character you in your head have, and the voice doesn't match the character you had in mind of how they would sound, I could totally see how you would be upset by that. And there is an option in the game for you to be like, that's not my voice, that's not how I sound like. So the game is aware that there's gonna be some people many people actually that's gonna be like, no, I don't like that for my character. But they explain it that in every universe, it's always different. You always look different, you always sound different. So I'm okay with that explanation. Now, I want to recommend some games for you. If you loved Starfield, then you might like these as well, because they're close to the same style. The first one is Outer Worlds. Like, this game also has no aliens. It's just humans who live on different planets and spread to different planets. And it has a silent protagonist. And it's in first person. So it's exactly like Starfield. And the game is really funny, like on the level of Futurama. And it does get serious, but there's so much dark humor in it because there is death and you can connect with your companions about their pasts and struggles. So there is serious, it does get serious, so don't think that it's just a goofy game that shouldn't be taken serious like SpongeBob or something. Like, it's just way more funnier than Starfield. And the game has more dialogue options for your character to lie and be sarcastic. Plus, you can unlock dumb dialogue if you have low intelligence, and I really recommend playing this game that way because it feels like this clip I'm about to show that someone edited of Michael Scott being the captain in Mass Effect.
Admiral Hackett's mobilizing the fleets.
Yeesh.
I'm guessing word's made it to Alliance Command. Something big's headed our way.
That's what she said.
God help us all.
I think that pretty much sums it up. Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Yes, I was the first one out, and yes, I've heard women and children first, but we do not employ children. We are not a sweatshop, thankfully, and women are equal in the workplace by law.
Do whatever it takes to get them on board.
Oh, hey, no problemo.
Hack it out.
My boss is sending me abroad to do a presentation to an international client, and I have always been intrigued by all things international. The women, the pancakes, the man of mystery. Swag! Stuff we all get. I basically decorated my condo for free with all of my swag. The city.
Commander, the people of the Alliance have questions.
I have done some very bad things of which I am not proud, and I vow to never listen to my bodily instincts ever again.
Isn't it true that you were on Earth when the Reapers attacked?
Oh, okay. I was talking about what's going on?
And in this other clip, I'm gonna show how fun dumb dialogue can be if you choose it. You kind of have to look at the clip because obviously the character doesn't speak out loud the lines that they're choosing. But if you don't feel like it, forget it. But it's basically my character misunderstanding a word that this character is saying.
I have a job for you. One of our cartographers needs to be retired. I want you to carry it out. I can't tell if you're being exceptionally subtle or exceptionally dense. Just give me a moment to get my bearings. Rachel Lockwood, cartographer for the Bureau of Exploration. She's done some sensitive work for us, but now she's a loose end. Lockwood has to go. Get rid of her. Bring me her work. Then we'll talk about Dr. Wells. Law have mercy. That is not what a cartographer does. You're thinking of carpenters. That's carpenter. Look, just listen closely while I explain this. A cartographer is an expert surveyor. The board hires cartographers as part of its ongoing colonization and development branch. That means they make maps, which are drawings of places. It isn't as if we're executing Lockwood for mislabeling a river on a map. It isn't what she's done, but what she knows that forces our hand.
And in the Outer Worlds, you can see all the past dialogue lines that have been said in the conversation before you respond. So, because it happens a lot when I kind of forget exactly what the NPC just said to me, and then I have to respond and I can't really remember what they just said. So that would not be a problem with this game. You can like go back and look at the past conversation. The map areas are a lot smaller, so running around a planet isn't that big of a problem like it is in Starfield. I think I only explored a whole empty planet on Starfield like twice, and then I just never did it again. I just didn't care about that aspect of the game because it was such a chore to run everywhere. But in the Outer Worlds, they also have big map areas and for each planet, but like it's not as big as Starfield. So you can't romance characters in Outer Worlds, but the game really makes up for it with how interesting the story is and the quests. It's very silly like Borderlands and also gets serious like Borderlands. And there is a character loyalty mission where they ask for your help in dating someone, and you can like in that quest line you can go to the bar with them and talk about dating and your experiences, or maybe you have no experiences, and just your opinions on love and everything like that. So I would love if Outer Worlds 2 they added in romances, but it's such a small part in a lot of these games, but I know how important it is because it makes games more replayable and rememberable. But I just don't want people to be turned off by the fact that you can't romance people in the game, because it's still really, really worth checking out because it's such a fun game. Like if you love Spaceballs, if you love Futurama, if you love Borderlands, you're gonna love this game. And you have more than just 4 companions to bond with. I felt closer to this crew than I did with my crew in Starfield, and you could take 2 companions with you and they help better in fights because companions have special abilities that can immediately push them into the fight. And the robot companion is so much more involved than the robot companion in Starfield. Like the robot in the Outer Worlds will respond sometimes when you talk to NPCs while they're in your group, but the robot in Starfield never does. They never like have anything to say to an NPC. Like just check out the opening cutscene to the Outer Worlds because it sets up the tone for the rest of the game. And the DLCs are really, really good. Like they're really worth getting. Like you can tell that the quality of the cinematic cutscene really jumped up in these DLCs, so I really recommend you checking them out. The second game I recommend is Mass Effect Andromeda. It isn't as funny as the Outer Worlds, but it's more funny than Starfield. And you could see your created character and see them talking to others, and they're fully voiced. It's like in third person. You can drive around instead of running around planets, so it feels less like a chore going around scanning stuff for supplies. You can also have 2 companions with you, and there's more than 4 companions to become friends with and romance. You can even romance characters who aren't on your crew. And there are aliens in this game, so it might be best to play the first 3 Mass Effect games, but you can always just read the codex and learn about each race, and you can learn about them through dialogue anyways. So there's just that option, and I'm only recommending Andromeda because it's more close to how Starfield is. The first 3 games aren't open world games like Starfield and Andromeda. The last game I'm going to recommend is Cyberpunk 2077. It's if you're wanting another sci-fi open world first person game. And this game, you also have a voice, and you could see your character with, like, when you go up to a mirror and stuff, and obviously in the menu. And it's the best first person game I've played where you can, like, still enjoy your character's style while being in first person, because you can, like, look down and see your whole body and see what outfit you have on, and you can, like, see and customize your nails, and you can have them short or long. It's spoiled me with first person games that it's like anytime a game doesn't let me see my feet or my body, I'm disappointed. So I want more first person games to be like Cyberpunk. This game also only has 4 characters to romance, but in each playthrough you only can romance 2, because that's 2 for each gender. You can choose to be male or female, and for each gender there is a straight romance or a gay romance, and you could date both of them at once, and they never find out about each other. So you will have to choose later, and it'll be obvious, or like, who do you want to have your last phone call with, and that's the moment where you can choose who you want to be in a relationship with, or you could choose not to call either one and stay single. But I'm telling you this so that you don't have to worry about being locked out of a romance by sleeping with someone else. Like, you can sleep with 2 people and they never find out, and it's all cool, it's fun. I wish more games done it. Now, this is a small thing, but in other games it's really annoying that you have to talk to characters face to face when you're doing a quest, and you have to go back and forth to report back to them. But in Cyberpunk, you could just call or text to give updates on those quests. Like, the only time in Cyberpunk where you have to meet someone face to face and you have a quest with them is because you want to hang out with them in person, or because they don't trust that someone isn't listening in on your phone calls. So I love how Cyberpunk really uses their technology, like, realistically. I don't know why Starfield and Mass Effect doesn't use their tech like that, but they need to. Like, in Mass Effect, it's very rare that they'll just get a video voice call or voice chat or whatever, but they need to start using it more often in Mass Effect 5. It really takes me out of it, where it's like, why can't I just send a message? Okay. But anyways, I hope you have fun with these games. So look out for, like, part 2 if you're interested to hear what I didn't like about Starfield. Thanks for listening.